The sudden death of Nur ad-Din and the rise of Saladin. In 1174, the unexpected death of Nur ad-Din drastically altered the political landscape of the Near East. The once mighty Zengid Empire was left in the hands of his heir, al-Salih Ismail. A mere boy, too young to wield a sword, let alone rule a fragmented empire. Across Syria, generals and local lords began to splinter, each vying for power, plunging the region into division and confusion. In that moment of chaos, one man stood firm: Saladin. Having recently secured control over Egypt, he commanded a loyal army, stable finances, and a growing reputation across the Muslim world. But Saladin did not rush into Syria with sword in hand. Instead, he wielded a patient blend of political wisdom and military strength. Later that same year, Saladin set out from Cairo with a disciplined force and crossed the desert toward Damascus, the former heart of the Zengid Empire. But no blood was shed. The gates of Damascus opened to welcome him. The city's nobility and scholars understood that a power vacuum would only lead to suffering. Saladin, known for his justice, piety, and ability, was seen as the only figure capable of restoring order. In November 1174, Saladin officially took control of Damascus, a turning point in history. Soon after, he launched campaigns to capture Homs, Hama, and Aleppo, strongholds still loyal to the Zengid dynasty. Aleppo proved to be the fiercest challenge, as some of Nur ad-Din's loyalists mounted strong resistance. But with patience and diplomacy, Saladin defeated or won over nearly all opposition. From 1174 to 1183, Saladin relied not only on the sword but also on reason. He married off his daughters and sisters to powerful lords, granted lands and titles to those who submitted, and, rather than proclaiming himself king, continued to rule in the name of the Abbasid Caliph in Baghdad, preserving legitimacy in the eyes of the Muslim masses. By 1183, nearly all of Syria and northern Mesopotamia, from Aleppo to Mosul, was under Saladin's control. The Ayyubid dynasty had emerged as a vast, wealthy, and unified power, something not seen since the Crusades had begun. Saladin's triumph was not limited to land. He sought to unify Islam as well. In regions where Shia Islam or separatist sects had influence, he promoted Sunni scholarship, established madrasas for the Maliki and Shafi'i schools, and encouraged learning. He did not persecute other sects but made it clear the road to Islamic unity could not be reversed. By the end of 1183, Saladin was no longer just a vizier or a Kurdish general. He was the unifier of Sunni Islam across Egypt, Syria, and Mesopotamia. Even Nur ad-Din and the Abbasid caliphs had never achieved such unity during the Crusades. But Saladin knew that uniting the Muslim world was not the final goal. Jerusalem, the sacred heart of Islam, held by the Crusaders for nearly 90 years, remained in enemy hands. The vision of jihad and the Battle of Hattin. And so, in the heart of a man forged by war, diplomacy, and faith, a vision took shape. A true jihad to reclaim Jerusalem, not just by sword, but through the faith and unity of the Muslim world. Under the blazing skies of Palestine in 1187, a moment arrived, forever etched into the memories of East and West. After years of alliance building and consolidating power, Saladin launched his grand campaign to retake Jerusalem. But first, he had to destroy the Crusader forces, the Kingdom of Jerusalem and the elite, ruthless Templars and Hospitallers. The spark came from a familiar provocation. Raynald de Chatillon, a notorious and brutal Crusader lord, attacked Muslim caravans and even threatened the holy cities of Mecca and Medina. For Saladin, this was intolerable. He declared a full-scale jihad, rallying all Muslim territories under a single banner: the liberation of Jerusalem. In July 1187, Saladin's army, 30,000 strong, with elite archers and cavalry, advanced on Tiberias, a vital Crusader fortress. Like a patient predator, he used the city as bait to lure the Crusaders out of their defensive positions. And they took the bait. On July 3rd, King Guy de Lusignan, alongside the Templars, Hospitallers, and the nobility of Jerusalem, marched 20,000 men out of Sepphoris across a barren plain to relieve Tiberias. Saladin was ready. He ordered wells destroyed, dry grass burned, and supply routes blocked. turning the plains of Hattin into a furnace. Under the searing July sun, Crusaders in heavy armor weakened from thirst and exhaustion, while Muslim archers rained arrows from afar. On the morning of July 4th, the Battle of Hattin erupted. Saladin led the center, Taqi ad-Din commanded the left wing, and his brother al-Adil took the right. The Crusaders were surrounded, trapped in a tightening noose. Fires consumed their camp. The Templar and Hospitaller Knights fought fiercely, but they could not escape the tightening ring of Saladin's forces. By midday, King Guy was captured. The cross of Jerusalem fell into the dust. When the Crusader leaders were brought before Saladin, he offered water to King Guy but refused Reynald, who had once sworn peace and betrayed it. Before all present, Saladin drew his sword and beheaded Reynald. Then he turned to King Guy and said calmly, "A king does not kill a king, but that man was no king." Thousands of Crusader soldiers were taken captive. Saladin spared the ordinary soldiers, but he ordered the execution of all captured Templars and Hospitallers for their decades of war crimes in the Holy Land. The victory at Hattin was not just military, it was spiritual. For the first time in nearly 90 years, the Muslim world had united and defeated the Crusaders at the heart of the Holy Land. Fortress after fortress fell: Acre, Nazareth, Jaffa, Ascalon, one after another. The fall of Jerusalem. Then, in October 1187, Jerusalem itself fell. But there was no massacre. Saladin spared the lives of tens of thousands, allowing them to ransom their freedom. He preserved the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and even posted guards to protect it. His mercy won admiration from both East and West. Even his enemies called him the Knight of Allah. With Jerusalem back in Muslim hands, Saladin's fame reached its zenith. But envy and suspicion stirred among Muslim rulers. Though he claimed to serve Nur ad-Din's legacy, parts of the old Zengid realm, especially Mosul, remained beyond his grasp. Mosul, ruled by the staunch Zengid Izz ad-Din Masud, defied him. To Masud, Saladin was a Kurdish outsider usurping Zengid power. Tensions boiled over in 1185. Saladin laid siege to Mosul. The city was vast and fortified. It became a grueling war of attrition. But Saladin avoided civilian casualties, preferring to win hearts rather than raise cities. After nearly 2 years, Masud, isolated, sought peace. A treaty was made. He would remain ruler of Mosul, but recognize Saladin's supremacy and support the fight against the Crusaders. With that, Saladin held sway over nearly the entire Arab Muslim world, from Egypt to Yemen, from Aleppo to Mosul. Toward the Third Crusade, Saladin's peaceful conquest of Mosul showed that he was not just a warrior, but a unifier through patience and principle. With his flanks secure, he turned westward. A great confrontation loomed, the Third Crusade, where he would face giants like Richard the Lionheart and Philip II of France. In September 1191, on the burning sands of Arsuf, two titans met, Saladin and Richard. The battle ended in a painful loss for Saladin. His troops scattered. Richard seized Jaffa. Saladin, in a desperate move, destroyed the defenses of Ascalon to keep Egypt safe. But the war was also fought with words. Richard proposed a marriage alliance, his sister to Saladin's brother, with Jerusalem as a wedding gift. Saladin declined. He would not demand conversion, nor compromise his faith. In early 1192, Richard advanced to within hours of Jerusalem, but withdrew. He sensed that to capture the city was not the same as holding it. Saladin responded swiftly, attacking Jaffa. The siege nearly succeeded, but Richard returned just in time. A brutal clash outside the gates saw Saladin defeated, but not dishonored. The end of the Crusade and Saladin's final days. Finally, in September 1192, a peace treaty was signed. Christians could pilgrimage peacefully to Jerusalem. Richard withdrew, but retained control of the coast from Tyre to Jaffa. Ascalon's fort was destroyed, a symbolic compromise. There was no winner, only mutual respect between two legendary commanders. Saladin returned to Damascus. No longer the vibrant warrior, he now turned to building public works and administering his realm. Despite ruling an empire, he lived simply, gave generously, and died in poverty. In March 1193, Saladin fell gravely ill. On his deathbed, he ordered a white banner flown and a herald to proclaim, This is Saladin, who once ruled Egypt, Syria, Yemen, and Hijaz. Now he leaves this world with nothing but a shroud. On March 4th, 1193, Saladin passed away in Damascus, aged 55. His death shook the Muslim world. He was buried in a modest tomb near the Umayyad Mosque. No boastful epitaph adorned his grave, only a quiet reminder of the impermanence of earthly glory. Saladin's death marked the end of a man, but the beginning of a legend. His legacy, political, religious, and military, continues to echo through history, East and West alike. Thank you so much for watching and listening. If you enjoyed this content and found it interesting, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos.